Welcome to the Podcast for Inquiry, brought to you by the Centre for Inquiry Canada, a national educational charity supporting your community for reason, compassion, and secular humanist values. You have answers? We have questions. I'm your host, Leslie Rosenblood, board member and secular chair for CFIC. Welcome. Today, I speak with Omer on Podcast for Inquiry. Omer is an ex-Muslim and a secular activist, and because of this, he had to flee his native Pakistan and has been living in exile in Nepal since January 2019. Omer is a UN-recognized refugee and has been trying to emigrate to Canada for several years. Omer shares his story with us today on Podcast for Inquiry. Omer, thank you for joining me today on Podcast for Inquiry.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It is nothing less than a pleasure to be here.
So I want to start off with something that I think everybody should know, and that is that Omer is a pseudonym. It's not your real name, and you're wearing a mask not due to any health reasons or for COVID, but to hide your identity. So can you explain right off the top why it is that you use a pseudonym and are wearing a mask today?
So the basic thing is, like you get up in the morning and your son tells you, hey, Pops, I am no longer Christian. I'm no longer Jewish. I'm an atheist. And you will say, okay, son, do believe whatever you want to believe. But that is not the case in Islam. In Islam, apostasy or leaving Islam means it is punishable by death. When we will go, and it's that the risk of on your life. It's not that it's going to go away after like a year or two and you still survived. No. I'll give you one example. Sir Salman Rushdie. He wrote this book, the Satanic Verses, years ago. Did Muslim left him? Did they forget him? No, they are still after him. And they attacked, and unfortunately, he lost his eye. And what I went through, I almost escaped. I actually escaped death. They are still hunting me. So when I am a currently UNHCR designated refugee, and I have the confirmation of permanent residency of Canada. Until today, due to my peaceful activism, due to the only mistake that I have, that I talk about peace, harmony, and I talk about the horrific teachings of Islam, that how it is a threat to societies, how it is threat to the countries, how it is threat to almost everything that the world is standing on today. So I have, like, when I submitted my file to the UNHCR in 2019, I had like documented 150 pages threats. Those are death threats. And since I live in Nepal, Nepal is a neighboring country in India, a guy literally sold his property just to hunt me down and kill me. Because Islam is a one-way traffic. Like they say Islam is the religion of peace, and then I say, yeah, Islam is a religion of peace, but the terms and conditions also apply. So, yeah. So in Muslim countries, there are 13 countries where is only thing, if you are Islam, this act is punishable by death.
So you were born and raised in Pakistan, and you criticize some of the more extreme teachings of Islam, and for that you received death threats and had to flee.
So how about if I tell you from the beginning?
Sure, sure. Why don't you tell us how you how you came to Nepal, and why you're in why Nepal, and as opposed to anywhere else.
So I'll start from the beginning. You know, when I was like a school going kid, I was the kind of a guy who had this habit to inquire and question each and everything. So when we will go to the school in the morning, we brothers will get one full egg, and I have two sisters. One egg will be divided between my two sisters. And I asked my mother, like, this is just unfair that my sisters get half of the egg. Like, one egg is divided in between two of them, and we brothers get full of it. And my mother told me that because, you know, the man needs to earn, they need to be strong, they need to run the house. And I was like, if we like invest in our daughters, they can do the same. And she told me that Islam does not allow. That was the first time I questioned on, like, Islam came in my mind that, okay, why Islam do that with a woman? Then what happened is that in Islam, they have this concept, they have this thing that if you pray 5 times a day, if you pray 5 times a day, uh, it will keep you away from committing sins. So in Islam, we have to, like, the children have to read and not to memorize, but read the Quran and learn the Quran from the beginning, from the very start, from the school days. So we go to the mosque, and I saw the imam, the preacher, was sexually molesting a minor. Then I thought that this guy stays in a holy place, prays, leads prayer 5 times, and he is molesting. If his prayer are not keeping him away to commit sin, then what about the rest of the people, the common people? So I went to some people, and they refused to believe me. They said that just you just don't want to learn Quran, and that's why you're doing it. Fast forward, I was asking questions, and I was not satisfied. So I did not have internet access at that time. I am talking about like early 20s. So in 2009, we moved to relatively a better city, and I had access to the internet. And in those days, there were a lot of discussion forums on
Hmm.
politics and sports. Because I was inquiring, I was questioning, I ended up getting into few forums where they were like discussing the ideas of atheism, having a god, not having a god, and all that. So I come to the conclusion that all religions are bullshit, and I, yeah, and I am, I cannot believe it. I cannot believe in a religion where, like, what is a girl or what is a woman's fault just because that she is a woman? And all the religion, I did not see a single religion which does not deprive women of their basic rights. And I also wanted to tell you that being an atheist, I learned many things. The things which would have not been possible if I was a still believer of Islam, such as unconditional love for the dogs. I am a dogless dog father. The country I live in, yeah, true, honestly, because I cannot adopt a dog here. And so I consider myself dogless dog father. So in Nepal, there are a lot of street dogs. They love me unconditionally. I love them unconditionally. Another thing that I learned that I couldn't have learned in any religion is equality and respect for women. If I was a believer of Islam, I would have still be believing that women have half of the intellectual intellect of men. Girls get half share of the property than boys. Women must go. Married woman, divorced woman must go halala. Call it a one night stand with another man if she is divorced and if she wants to reconcile with her ex husband. Men can beat their wives. These would have been my belief as a Muslim, because every Muslim believes in this. Men can marry a minor girl, like a 52-year-old can marry a 6-year-old girl. Can you believe this? We are living in a 21st century, and still in the Muslim world, it is happening.
So there's a lot of things in, like, if you read the Torah for Judaism, or you read the Bible for Christians, there's a lot of things in the books that are pretty horrible as well. But most Jews and most Christians don't actually follow the really bad parts of the Bible. Like if a woman is raped, then she must marry her rapist, for example. Is that also true in Islam, or are the words of the Quran what most Muslims in Pakistan believe, including the nasty bits?
First of all, allow me to explain the difference between Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, and Islam. So, in Christianity, like if you're even if you are a devout Christian, you will just go and you go to church Sunday every day. Okay, and then you are another Christian, another side of the Christian. You still believe in Jesus, but you never went to church. Nobody is going to question both, because they have evolved now. It's a world has become a global village. But this is not the case in Islam, and this is what my Westerner friends need to know about it. Islam is not like, okay, we are Christian and they are Muslims. No. When a Muslim child is 7 year old, ask him to pray, teach him pray. When the kid is 10 year old, and if he doesn't pray still, you can beat the shit out of him. And how many times? 5 times a day. So this Islam, the horrific teachings of Islam are like literally like hold the kid here and chug it 5 times a day. So every Muslim, even if that Muslim is a moderate Muslim, still believe that if anyone insults our Prophet, they deserve to die. If anyone leaves Islam, they deserve to die. I am accepted as a permanent resident of Canada, but will I feel safe in Canada as an ex-Muslim, as an atheist? No, I will all be looking after my Sikhs. Why? Because they are what they believe. They believe. They have their red lines. No one can cross that. And what is happening around us today? That's because of that. The idea of Islam is all the world, all the earth belongs to Allah. Like a guy who has a French nationality. France comes later, Allah comes first, Islam comes first. So they have some common goals which are a threat to the humanity.
So, but what you're describing, I know a number of Muslims here in Canada, but they don't behave in the way that you're describing. Like what you're describing sounds like the like extremists or fundamentalists, and that doesn't is that true for most people, or most Muslims in Pakistan? Because that doesn't match with what I've seen here in Canada.
Okay, so what you're saying is that yes, I'm not saying that everybody is extremist, but ask those Muslims friends, What is the punishment of blasphemy? What is the punishment of blasphemy? They will tell you that it's punishable by death. But those Muslims, what they do is that I call them moderate Muslims. Moderate Muslims are basically highly skilled makeup artists. Islam is devil, and they try to put the makeup on it and try to prove it that no, Islam is not devil. Islam is as handsome as Tom Cruise. I'm sorry, but this is what I know, because this is where I was grown into. This is what I study. This
Mhm.
is what I do every day. I'll give you one example. Ever since this war broke, these moderate Muslims have been using the Quran's verse. It's in chapter 2, verse 62. And I will translate this for you. Those who believe and those who are Jews and Christians and Sabians, whoever believes in Allah and the last day and do righteous good deeds shall have the reward with their Lord. On them shall be no fear, and they shall not grieve. Unfortunately, the truth is, this verse was narrated at a time when Muslims did not have the power to fight the Jews and the Christians. Islam needed to stay in good grace with the other religion. After they gained power, and I am telling you, this is in chronologically order, later in chapter 3, verse 85, bluntly states, whoever seeks a religion other than Islam, it will never be accepted of him. And they will go to hell. I mean, on the topic of Islam and moderate verses of peace, like this topic will go south. I can talk for days.
So, what was it that got you in trouble in Pakistan? Like, was there a particular event that precipitated your departure?
So what happened is that I left Islam in 2010, but I knew that if I will tell anyone, there will be consequences, because I knew that leaving Islam means I am punishable to death. And but then I was like, if I pretend to be Muslim but not be a Muslim, my life, entire life, I will be pretending I'm something else and I'm showing something else. And it was, though that year was entirely suffocating for me. So one day, what happens, like after literally, I needed someone to talk. I wanted to discuss. So one day, so I used to play cricket. One day after the game, we were returning. I was with my best friend. That friend was my childhood friend. So I said that I will not say the name. Like, uh, bro, there is one thing which is very disturbing me, and because of that thing, I am no longer a Muslim. And he was like, "What? What are you saying? What that thing?" And I was like, "How can I accept someone, a prophet, who married a 6-year-old girl?" And he was like, Tawbah, Tawbah, Tawbah. Tawbah means repenting. Astaghfirullah. I mean, God forbid, God forgive you, God forgive you. What did he say? It's like, so he left he went to his home. I went to my home. But before I went to my home, like I went to another place, and he reached at my house first and told my mother about this. And so that night I was, supposed to sleep at a, barn. We have another barn where we have like animals and everything. So I was supposed to stay there for the night. So it was December 2011. I'm talking about December 2011. um, I was kidnapped the same night, tortured, all those years gone, but I still have scars on my body. I was like, my fingers were like cut with the blades. My body was burned with the cigarettes. And my only crime was, how dare I ask that one question?
I'm so sorry, Omer.
So somehow, so I did not know that it is actually my mother who has did this on me, because I was like, my body was burned, I was tortured. I did not want to go home, because if my mother will see me injured, it will be difficult for her. So I went to my friend, and my friend said that, okay, so I am sending you to another city. My relatives will take care of you, and once you are better, you can come back. I was close to my sister, very close to my sister. My sister, couple of days later, informed me that this was done on behalf of mom. And I was like, why did she do it? She said that do you remember, the prophet says you cannot be a true Muslim until unless me, prophet, is dearer, more dearer, as from your relatives, from your properties, from your children. So my mother tried to get you killed to prove that she is a true Muslim. And whoever proves that is a true Muslims, they will go to heaven without any questions. So never return home. So then I stayed in that city, and I found a job, I got better, and on Facebook I found like-minded people. So I started my Facebook activism. We were trying to educate people. We were not like committing any blasphemy or anything. We were actually talking about the secularism. What we were saying is that, religion should not be involved in each and every affair. Let's not go, into those details. If there is a Christian among you is living, that Christian should not be discriminated. So the youth of Pakistan started to like us, like those pages. And within 3, 4 years, those pages, there were like, some of them I know, some of them I didn't know, but we were like minded people. Those pages reached at that peak that it triggered really high ranked people. So one of the Islamic scholar did a TV program against us, against our pages, and pressurized the government that who are these people who are insulting our prophet.
From what you were describing, it sounded like you were promoting secularism, government neutrality in matters of religion, no discrimination, one law for all. These are all ideas that are very core to my heart and part of the mission of the Center for Inquiry Canada.
We were not like publishing any cartoons of Muhammad, but we were, criticizing Islamic teachings, such
Mm-hmm.
as rights for the women, such as child marriages. So
Mm-hmm.
we were criticizing the questions. Okay, if we criticize, the civilized way is that if we are criticizing, come sit in front of us, answer our questions. But no, that didn't happen. Those people, and not only that, Islamic scholar, the high court judge, he summoned law enforcement agencies in his court, and he said that these people are blasphemers, and blasphemers are terrorists. So hunt down these terrorists. Government on 1st January 2017, government started crackdown against these free thinkers, against secular activists, and against atheists. So a lot of people were arrested. Somehow, I got a call that most of your, like-minded people are. arrested, so you better surrender yourself. So I was like, this is not, I'm not going to give up. I didn't build up this activism. I survived and I will survive again. So I destroyed my hardware, and I went on to live with a friend. And some of them escaped. They had foreign passports like UK and different countries. Some of them were arrested. Like we were literally like headless chickens, running here and there. So because I did not have any resources, I went to in hiding. From April 2017 till August 2018, I was in absolute hiding. How I survived, let's not go into the details.
Okay.
So in August 2018, I was like, okay, maybe the dust is little settled. Maybe because it's not possible for me to live here anymore. So I contacted Center for Inquiry, US, and they did their due diligence, verified everything, and so they provided money. And I was like, because Nepal was the only option for me to, as a visa free country. So I came to Nepal, and, it was not easy. I was questioned for like literally 40 minutes at the airport because they knew my first name, but my last name was different. Like on activist pages, and on my SIM card was like under different name, and the real name on the passport was different. So after like questioning for 40 minutes, they let me go, and I arrived here. I applied for refugee status, and after like 6 or 7 months, I got the refugee status. Before I continue, do you have any questions?
Well, I have so many, so thank you. And that's it's what you describe is a terrible ordeal just for asking questions, and these are freedoms that I've had been able to take advantage of, and in many ways have taken for granted for my entire life. And I want to thank you for your bravery, not to back down even at the risk of your life. That's shows tremendous strength, and I admire you for that. Um, uh, I guess to please continue. So you arrived in Nepal, and you applied for refugee status. How does that work? Do you apply for refugee status just you're a refugee from Pakistan, or are you a refugee? You have to have your refugee status recognized by the country you wish to emigrate to. How does that process work?
Sorry. Um, so, so what happened is that there is a UN agency. It is called UNHCR. So there, UNHCR. So if I have a life threat on me, a documented life threat on me, I will UNH. Let's suppose that UNHCR is a court. I will go to the court and I will present my case. I will give my evidence that the government is after me, the Muslims are after me, and I need protection because everybody deserves to live. So I need protection. So what they do is that they do the background checks, they do verifications. In some cases, this just getting refugee status takes 7, 8 years. But this is the half part of it. Getting refugee status does not guarantee you that this is your pathway to the first world countries. No, it is not. So what happened is that with me, it was the second case. First, let me explain the first part. Once you get the refugee status after like 6, 7 years, then they resettle you. UNHCR itself resettle you to a safe country. That process itself takes another 7, 10 years. sometimes 2, 3, sometimes 7, 8. Like I know people who left their home countries at the age of 30 and they were relocated to a safe country at the age of 45, 15 years. And
Wow.
life in exile is not an easy life. Um, Allow me to explain the life in exile first as a
Sure.
refugee.
Why don't you take us through like a typical week for you right now?
So, what happened is that here or in any other country where you are a refugee, you're not a human. You don't have any right. You don't like like I'm not allowed to work. I don't have any legal rights. Government of Nepal does not consider me a refugee. I am illegal immigrant for them. No rights at all. And
Even though the United Nations has formally declared you to be a refugee, according
yes,
to the government of Nepal, you are an illegal immigrant.
yes, sir. And when I sent my papers, and I will tell you how I got in touch with CFI and everything, CFI, Canada and Calgarian people. So when I got the refugee status, UNHCR told me you will not get any money from us for you to survive here. You are on your own. You will have no legal right to work, but you can work like any other country. You can do illegal jobs. But if you get caught, we are not responsible. You will be deported back. We will not resettle you to any other country. You will have to find your own way. And that is the time when I was extremely depressed, extremely tensed. I cannot explain it in words. I'll give you this example. At the age of 35, I already had 2 heart attacks. Can you imagine the mental stress that I went through? Despite the fact that I was the lucky ones who had people like CFI to look after me. But you know what my life is? I cannot do anything. It's just like a huge prison where I am stuck in. I cannot work. I cannot marry. I cannot, I don't have any, what do you call, legal rights. If someone comes after me, I am on my own. Police is not going to help me. So, then somehow I figured out that there is a program for Canada, private sponsorship program. And through private sponsorship program, I will have to pay $16,500 to the government of Canada, and then I will have to prove my case again to them whenever they will do my interview, and then they will decide if they accept me or not. So CFI helped me to arrange that money. Some other organization also helped me, and we were able to submit our application in January 2020. The second
Ah, right. And
January
we all know
20,
what happened just a few weeks later in 2020.
yeah, January 2020. I submit my application, and in January 2023, after waiting for literally 2020, 21, 22, after waiting for 3 years, so they came, like the Canadian High Commission came and they interviewed me. They saw all the documented evidence and they did my medical and they issued me a visa. But unfortunately, that visa was valid for 3 months only. And UNHCR was supposed to obtain, exit permit for us, but they couldn't. The government of Nepal, as I already told you, is not a refugee friendly. So they are, I don't know what's going on because nobody's telling us anything. So my visa got expired. So I am like just waiting for my, new visa, and then I'll be able to fly. When? I don't know.
So Canada granted you an entry visa,
Yes.
but you also needed an exit visa from Nepal.
Yes.
Didn't get that, and then your entry visa expired. So now you're still stuck.
So they assured us, like the Canadians assured us, that if your first visa will expire, we will issue you another. From
Okay.
Canada's side, I don't have problem. The problem is that it's like never
You
ending
need
wait. It's
you need an
extremely
exit visa from Nepal.
yes.
So are you've now been in Nepal for about 6 years. Do you have a community there? Do you have friends, or do you, because you are essentially in hiding and you are an illegal immigrant? Do you have to keep to yourself?
Leslie, all the CFI people know that I do not stay in one city for more than few months. I keep on changing from one city to another. I do not make any community or any friends. Not like I cannot trust anyone. Like if someone finds out that I am wanted by the government, they will just go to the government of Pakistan and they will say, "Oh, that guy is living there. Give me 50 grand and I'll tell you you're a wanted guy." And also, because Nepal is an easy access country, the government of Pakistan agents are always there. On top of that, they have a lot of, because like it's an easy access country, any fanatic Muslim can come from India or from Pakistan. They, as I already told you, that they never stop looking. So I don't feel safe. I don't have any community. What I do is, the way I survive is that to try to keep myself calm and try to like keep my anxiety down and depression down. I was actually, I forgot to tell you that other than two heart attacks, I suffered tuberculosis and I suffered mental health issues. I was uh, diagnosed with MADD, mixed anxiety depressive disorder, and I got the treatment for that. So what I do is that I started going on hikes, going in the mountains alone. I read books. I, walk around the lake or walk around the, places, or, I don't have, and, I'm not a rich guy. I survive on CFI money. So, but, in my budget, traveling helps me. And the reason I mentioned is that when I was Muslim, I was not interested in nature, mountains, hike, rivers, animals, animal lives. Why? Because as a Muslim, I believe that this life is just a journey. Real life starts after death. So when you are journey, would you give a damn what's happening on your left or right? Some people do, but like as a Muslim, as a believer, I wouldn't have. So, because I believe in evolution, I started to explore things. I started to get observe like nature, animals, and I was feeling very down. I was frustrated because of the long delays, and I ended up watching this David Attenborough documentary, Our Planet Part Two, and there was just three lines David Attenborough said. And those three lines gave me so much positivity, so much confidence. Those three lines are: immigration is survival. Immigration is survival. And it's like, okay, I am in the process of immigration. It is It is my survival. I'm not going to give up. And sometimes when I feel that, okay, what is the meaning of life? I probably, because I told you that I was patient of anxiety and depression and I went through a lot of negative thoughts.
Hmm.
I said to myself one day, when you don't find a meaning of life, make living a meaning of your life.
Are you in touch with anyone from your home in Pakistan, or have you've been truly alone for the last 6 years?
So me and my sister were very close to each other. So I got in touch with my sister few times, but it was like years ago. She knows that I'm in Nepal.
And it seems to me like you weren't doing anything particularly extraordinary. So you're not the only one in your situation. By which I mean fleeing for your life because you dared to question some aspect of the Islamic faith.
I'll tell you, I was one of the luckiest one. One of the when the government, this government of Pakistan started this crackdown, the guy who taught me so much about secularism, so much about atheism, he was unfortunately arrested and he was sentenced to death penalty. There are few others as well who were arrested and received death penalty. And when it comes to others, like in this country itself, like we are more than 70 people who have already received their visas, but unfortunately because we couldn't get the exit visa, we couldn't go. I know a Christian family here. They are here since last 13 years now, and their condition is so poor. I can't even tell you. And there was another family who waited 13 years to get in front of government of Canada and present their case, and the case was refused. Now they have nowhere to go. If they go back, they will be hunted down and killed. If they stay here, they have no rights. Their children cannot go to school. I mean, it will take me if you ask me, like every refugee is a very disturbing story.
Hmm.
Life as a refugee is not an easy life. You have to go through a lot of troubles every day, every morning. You get up in the morning, you have your breakfast, you go to work. When we refugee get up in the morning, the first thing we need to do is that we ask ourselves, okay, how am I going to survive today?
I know that in your case, the Center for Inquiry Canada has been supporting you and providing you with living expenses. It's not a huge amount, but it's sufficient at least to live on. How do you mentioned that there's over 70 families that you know of in Nepal who are living as refugees in that country. How are they surviving day to day and month to month?
Honestly speaking, I never asked them. The one because all 70s I don't know,
Hmm.
but the Christian family that I know, so they were like quite rich back in Pakistan, and now his wife goes house to house and clean toilets, do the laundry, and I saw her crying almost every day. That what we were and what we are now, just because our only fault was that we are Christian. Others, I don't know. I'm sure they must be doing labor work or underground jobs. Maybe they have supportive friends. Uh, but all I can tell is that none of them is having an easy life. Like I am one of the luckies that CFI is supporting me. But is surviving money is the only thing that a person need to live? Is that the life?
We are working. We're doing everything we can to bring you to Canada. When let's be optimistic for a moment and assume that you get the exit visa from Nepal. What are you looking forward to doing in Canada? Have you looked in? We're the second largest country, at least geographically speaking, here. Have you thought about and researched where you want to live in Canada, and any thoughts about what you will do in Canada once you arrive?
Um, so, as far as one thing I forgot to tell you, I don't know why forgot to mention this. Before I tell you what I'm going to do in Canada, so when I reached Nepal, because I survived the manhunt because of my activism and questions, I survived almost like killing attempt just because that I was questioning. I started activism on YouTube here the moment I arrived, and there were a lot of people doing their activism in English language, but there was nobody who was doing Urdu or Hindi. So I started my YouTube, and despite my health issues, having two heart attacks, tuberculosis, going through gout attacks, and everything, I become the first Pakistani YouTuber to have 100,000 subscriber. So that is like, it may not be a big thing for you guys, but it is like literally a big
That's
thing for me.
that's a tremendous achievement.
Okay,
Congratulations.
so the reason I mentioned this is that this is exactly the same thing that I'm going to do, but in a different way. Why in a different way? Because there are a lot of ex-Muslims in living in a suffocated life. I'm gonna help them in any way I can, guiding or in like getting involved through any organization. So I'm gonna like dedicate my activism for them. Secondly, like one of my Canadian friends asked me like, tell me three things in 3 words that you want in Canada. I was like, it's easy for me: job, a job, a woman, and a dog. So yeah, and as far as and I would love to volunteer with the secular organizations in any way I can, because Canada has accepted me. It's a great country, yes, and I would like to contribute in any way possible I can to the Canadian society. I will always be grateful for the Canadian peoples because, like, no matter how far you are, I always feel connected to you. When I was living in Pakistan, I never had that sense of belonging because I was the right guy born in a wrong place. And I'm gonna live in Calgary. I love Calgary. Like I asked because my sponsors are Calgarian, Rocky Mountain Atheist. I'm grateful to them that they continue to help me in any way they can. Like they call me, they check up on me, they send me pictures. They keep on updating me. They have been like very very supportive.
Well, I wish you all the best. And in our show notes, we are going to link to your YouTube channel, and I would just like to encourage any of our listeners that want to help support you, Omer, while you wait. We don't know whether it will be 1 week, 1 month, 6 months. It could be maybe even another year. If you wish to continue supporting Omer while he waits for his visa to come to Canada, please donate to the Center for Inquiry Canada, and you can also find the link for that in the show notes. Um, Omer, I'd like just I guess just one or two more questions. What are you? Uh, you're looking forward to. I like how you put it. You want a job, a woman, and a dog. Uh, I'm going to leave the type of dog and finding the love of your life to you. What kind of work would you like to do when you get to Canada? What kind of job would you like to have?
So when I was working in Pakistan, I was working in call centers, in telemarketing. Administrative job, in marketing, or any other job. I'm not the kind of guy like who's like, no, I want this. Even if I have to do the odd jobs, like I don't mind. I don't mind. But my aim is to be in an administration or in marketing.
And unfortunately, Omer, you're not the only person in your situation fleeing for his life because you asked questions, and you're not the first, and unfortunately, you won't be the last. I fear. What advice would you give to someone who might be hearing this, who might also be harboring doubts of their own and are considering whether they should say something to anybody, questioning whether they should come out, let anyone know that they're having doubts, or even are considering leaving their home or leaving their country in order to live free? Do you have any thoughts or insights that you can share with someone who is currently in the situation that you found yourself in before you left Pakistan?
So what kept me going is this faith that there is always light at the end of the tunnel. And those who are still living in Muslim countries, I, because of my activism, a lot of young kids, a lot of frustrated kids reach out to me and ask me questions like that. Being a Muslim, like it is, being an ex-Muslim, being an atheist, it is very difficult and very frustrating because parents force them to read Quran, parents force them to like go to mosque for to read prayers every day, and I always advise them, like I survived by asking questions. Do not engage any Muslims because you have just one life. Your life is very important, your career is very important, your education is very important. And then being an atheist, you will be able to contribute better in the society. Just engage with any idiot and get yourself killed. Did you do any favor to yourself? No. So rather study, focus on your career, and then you will be able to educate many more masses. When I started this Urdu channel, so I went to give an interview to an Indian channel, YouTuber in 2019. And at that time, there was no one, there was no other activist doing this as atheist activist. And I said that I am claiming today that there is a tsunami of ex-Muslims coming to your way, Muslims. Handle it. Today, we have like countless Indian ex-Muslims YouTuber, and they, because India is a secular country, they were so successful that they appeared in national televisions to debate with Islam. So wait for the right moment. Your time will come. Don't waste yourself by just, arguing with an idiot.
I think that especially that last bit is good advice for everybody. Omer, thank you for sharing your story. I admire your bravery and strength of character, and thank you for talking with me today on Podcast for Inquiry.
I'll end this podcast with just three lines. And this is for those who says that Islam is a religion of peace. The term jihad is mentioned 41 times in Quran. The word killing is mentioned more than 170 times in is Quran. So if someone says that Islam is a religion of peace, then Santa Claus is real and the Pluto is a planet. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Omer. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Links for today's discussion can be found in the show notes. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please show your support at patreon.com/podcastforinquiry and give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Email us podcast@centerforinquiry.ca. We'd love to hear your perspective. The Podcast for Inquiry is brought to you by the Centre for Inquiry Canada. We are a national educational charity supporting reason, compassion, and secular values. Help us support rational discourse and evidence-based decision-making by becoming a member at centerforinquiry.ca/join. CFIC is on the web and Facebook and Twitter at CFI Canada. Podcast for Inquiry is produced and edited by Lee Shields, Zach Dumont, and Martin Zielinski. Music by Anthony Lazaro. I'm your host, Leslie Rosenblood. See you next time.